The old billionaire sat motionless on the weathered wooden park bench, his eyes gently closed, his expensive coat pulled tightly around his frail, aging body. Golden afternoon sunlight filtered through the leaves above, casting soft shadows across his face. To every passerby, he appeared to be nothing more than a tired old man resting in the park. But Alaric Stone was wide awake. He was watching. He was waiting. And deep in his heart, he hoped. At 70 years old, Alaric had achieved everything the world admired. He owned a vast empire worth billions of dollars, towering skyscrapers that pierced the clouds, fleets of private jets, and companies that influenced industries across continents. From the outside, his life looked perfect, but inside his soul felt completely empty. That morning, driven by a quiet desperation, Alaric decided to conduct one final test of humanity. He left his tailored suits, luxury watches, and chauffeur-driven car behind. Dressed in plain, ordinary clothes, he walked to a busy public park and chose a simple wooden bench. Hours passed slowly. The sun climbed higher in the sky. Busy professionals in crisp suits hurried past, eyes glued to their phones. Joggers with expensive earbuds ran by, without a second glance. Young couples laughed together, completely absorbed in their own world. Tourists paused to take selfies, but no one stopped to check on the motionless old man. Then, everything changed. A small boy walked into his line of sight. He couldn't have been older than 12. Rowan Hale was small and thin for his age, wearing faded clothes that had been washed many times and shoes with holes beginning to form at the soles. A worn backpack hung from his narrow shoulders. His young face carried a quiet strength and maturity that only comes from enduring hardship far beyond his years. Rowan lived with his seriously ill mother in a tiny, run-down apartment on the edge of the city. His father had passed away several years earlier, leaving behind crushing debts and a mountain of grief. From that moment, Rowan had stepped up in ways no child should ever have to. Every morning before school, he delivered newspapers. After school, he roamed the streets collecting recyclable bottles and cans, earning whatever coins he could to help buy medicine and food for his mother. He rarely complained. He simply did what needed to be done. As Rowan passed through the park that afternoon, something made him slow down. The old man on the bench looked uncomfortably pale under the hot sun. Rowan hesitated for a moment, then quietly approached. Alaric kept his eyes closed, fully expecting the boy to walk away like all the others. But Rowan didn't walk away. With gentle care, he reached into his backpack and placed his only bottle of water beside the old man, positioning it perfectly so it would be easy to see. Then, after a brief pause, he took out his sandwich, a simple homemade lunch wrapped in paper, likely the only proper meal he would have that day, and placed it carefully next to the water. There were no cameras, no audience, no expectation of. Alaric felt a strange, long-forgotten warmth bloom deep in his chest. But the test was not over. Rowan started walking away, but something pulled him back. He glanced at the old man once more, worry clear in his eyes. Dark clouds were beginning to gather in the distance. Without a word, the boy continued on his path. 20 minutes later, the sky suddenly turned black. A fierce storm rolled in without warning. Heavy rain poured down in sheets, soaking the park instantly. People screamed and ran for cover, umbrellas opening like colorful shields. Yet Alaric remained on the bench, determined to see his experiment through to the end. Then, through the sound of pounding rain, he heard splashing footsteps. It was Rowan, completely drenched, shivering violently, his thin clothes clinging to his small frame. The boy had run all the way back through the storm just to check on the stranger. Without any hesitation, Rowan pulled off his old, patched jacket and carefully draped it over Alaric's shoulders, trying his best to protect the old man from the cold, driving rain. Then, instead of leaving, Rowan stood nearby under the pouring rain for nearly 15 long minutes. His lips turned blue. His small body trembled uncontrollably. But he stayed right there, watching over the old man with quiet determination, making sure he was safe. That was the moment Alaric could no longer continue pretending. He slowly opened his eyes. Rowan jumped back in surprise. The billionaire sat up gently and looked at the boy standing soaked before him. His gaze moved from the water bottle to the sandwich and finally to the old jacket, now protecting him from the rain. In that single instant, something deep inside Alaric's hardened heart shattered and began to heal. With a voice thick with emotion, he asked softly, "Son, why did you do all this for a stranger like me?" Rowan looked at him with sincere, innocent eyes and replied, "My mother always taught me that everyone is fighting a battle we cannot see. A little help doesn't cost much, but it can mean the whole world to someone who needs it." Those simple, pure words struck Alaric harder than any business victory or financial loss ever had. They reached a place in his soul that money could never touch. In the days that followed, Alaric quietly investigated Rowan's situation. What he discovered broke his heart completely. The family was days away from eviction. The mother's medical bills had grown into an unbearable mountain. Their kitchen was often empty. And yet, this young boy continued choosing kindness every single day. 1 week later, a sleek black luxury car stopped outside Rowan's modest apartment. Neighbors watched in stunned silence as the real Alaric Stone, one of the richest men in the city, stepped out. He spent several hours inside their small home, listening with genuine care to their struggles, their fears, their dreams, and their quiet strength. When he left that evening, he didn't just leave with memories. He left with a solemn promise. Within months, life transformed for Rowan and his mother. She received the finest medical treatment available. All their debts were completely cleared. They moved into a safe, beautiful new home. Rowan earned a full scholarship to one of the best schools in the region. But the most valuable gift Alaric gave was not money. It was his time, his guidance, and his unwavering belief in the boy. He became a true mentor, teaching Rowan about business, leadership, integrity, and the real meaning of wealth. Years passed. Rowan grew into an extraordinary young man, intelligent, humble, compassionate, and deeply committed to helping others. He carried the memory of that rainy afternoon in his heart forever. One peaceful evening many years later, an elderly Alaric Stone sat alone in his grand mansion. As he slowly looked through old photographs, he found one from that fateful day, a picture of young Rowan standing bravely in the pouring rain. The memories came rushing back. The bottle of water, the simple sandwich, the patched jacket, and a small boy shivering in the storm, protecting a stranger with nothing but love in his heart. Tears filled Alaric's eyes and flowed freely down his cheeks. For the first time in many years, the old billionaire cried, not from sorrow, but from overwhelming gratitude and joy. One small boy who had almost nothing had given him everything that truly mattered in life. And in doing so, he had restored a billionaire's lost faith in humanity forever. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more emotional stories that restore faith in humanity. Special comment request. Type "Kindness is true wealth" below if you believe that even the smallest act of compassion can change someone's life forever.